Welcome! You're watching Certification Preparation Professional Data Engineer. My name is Magda, and joining me today is Marcin and Carlos. You can ask questions at any time by submitting them in the box below this screen. We have Googlers on standby to answer them. So let's get started. Certification Preparation Professional Data Engineer. My name is Magda, and I'm the global lead for Google Cloud Certification Go-to-Market. Joining me today as expert speakers is Marcin from NordCloud, as well as Carlos from Pythian. Let's take a look at our agenda today. First, we'll talk about certification benefits. Then, we'll review the certification learning journey. We'll then talk about the data engineer exam. And we'll move towards an interview with our guest speakers and talk about certification success stories. We'll then review some of the sample questions. And finally, we'll recap with next steps. Let's start with certification benefits. We are really curious to track impact of the certification program within our community and send various surveys to track this impact. So we are happy to report that 78% of our certified community members who participated in the survey feel more confident in their professional future. 82% of respondents can prove cloud skill competency to recruiters. 83% feel that their resume is more attractive. And then finally, 85% of respondents feel more confident in cloud skills. What are some of the benefits that you can enjoy by achieving a certification? First, you can distinguish yourself with a Google Cloud certified badge and a certificate. You can showcase your certification badge on LinkedIn, your resume, email signature, and much more. You can network and exchange ideas in the Google Cloud certified community. You receive special recognition at select events. And for our professional certifications, you receive exciting swag. Another area that's important to mention are the benefits of certification according to IT decision makers. And the study that we reference here shows how in the last year, pretty much 2/3 of the budgets that were dedicated to training were actually dedicated to a certification or recertification purpose. When it comes to the certification value, 93 of the IT decision makers participating in the study agree that certified employees provide added value above and beyond the cost of certification. And then finally, 63% of the IT decision makers here say that the economic benefit of certified employees exceeds $10,000 a year. Let's now review our certification learning journey. By joining today's webinar, you're at the start of a journey to help you prepare for the Google Cloud Professional Data Engineer certification exam. To continue, sign up for the Professional Data Engineer certification learning journey after this webinar, and you'll receive an email with a downloadable PDF outlining some recommended learning to help you prepare for the professional data engineer over the next 6 weeks. To help you on your way, we'll give you 2 training offers. First, for a free month of Quick Labs to earn relevant Google Cloud skill badges which demonstrate your cloud competence. And secondly, for new learners to Coursera, and 1 month free offer for the data engineering learning path, which includes a course to help you prepare for the exam. You will also gain a professional certificate from Coursera upon completing of this training. Here is the recommended learning path for the Professional Data Engineer certification, and you'll see various learning modalities leveraged on this journey. So as part of your certification journey, you'll receive a recommended learning path and relevant training offers. The learning path is a combination of on-demand learning on Coursera and self-paced labs on Quick Labs, where you can now earn new Google Cloud skill badges by completing recommended quests as you prepare for certification. So, what are the new skill badges? We are excited to have launched new Google Cloud skill badges, which we recommend as part of your learning as you prepare for the professional data engineer exam. A skill badge is a digital badge issued by Google Cloud in recognition of individuals' cloud competency. A skill badge is earned by completing a series of hands-on labs and taking a final assessment challenge lab to test your skills through the Quick Labs learning platform. Let's now review the data engineer exam. First, let's take a look at our overall certifications portfolio. You'll notice the exams on the associate and the professional level. For the professional level certifications, we recommend at least 3 years or so of industry experience, including 1 year hands-on experience with GCP. So let's take a closer look at the professional data engineer job role. A professional data engineer enables data-driven decision-making by collecting, transforming, and publishing data. A data engineer should be able to design, build, operationalize, secure, and monitor data processing systems with a particular emphasis on security and compliance, scalability and efficiency, reliability and fidelity, and flexibility and portability. A data engineer should also be able to leverage, deploy, and continuously train pre-existing machine learning models. So you may wonder, what are the exact specific domains that are covered in the exam? And we wanted to reference these domains that are also available in the study guide for the exam. That's all available on the external certification website. So a professional data engineer exam assesses your ability to design data processing systems, build and operationalize data processing systems, operationalize machine learning models, ensure solution quality. Another resource that we wanted to highlight as a very good one on your preparation path is the official Google Cloud Certified Professional Data Engineer Study Guide. A little bit more about the exam. This exam is 2 hours long. It is multiple choice and multiple select. There are no prerequisites. However, we strongly recommend some hands-on experience with Google Cloud products and solutions. And a little bit more about the actual exam delivery methods. Right now, you can approach this exam both at home via remote proctoring or in a testing center. Please review the FAQs as you prepare for the remote option. There are some dependencies to be aware of. In both cases, whether you take the exam at home or in a testing center, we strongly recommend that you book your exam in advance to assure that there is availability. And then a final word about recertification. So the exams are valid for 2 years. And after 2 years, you are expected to recertify to keep this achievement and really demonstrate your continuous proficiency in the job role. This year, due to the situation, we have extended the grace period for recertification. You can find the details on the external certification website. So let's proceed with the certification success stories and Ask the Expert section. I'm delighted to welcome Marcin from NordCloud. Hello, Marcin.
Hi Magda, hi everyone.
And Carlos from Pythian.
Hello, Magda. Hi, everybody.
Welcome both. Some questions for you. So first, we'd love to learn about your daily role. What do you do? What are some of the technical projects you are working on? Starting with you, Marcin.
Okay, so I'm a data engineer. I work for NordCloud in Poland, and I'm working mostly with data engineering technologies. I'm building for our customers data lakes and data warehouses solution Also, I work quite a lot with cutting edge technologies for building data pipelines using technologies like Dataflow, Dataproc, and Cloud Functions, and a lot of other solutions available in GCP platform.
And I also heard that you are a trainer.
Yes, I'm also a Google trainer, and I'm delivering some learnings for preparation, also for professional data engineer certification.
Thank you, Marcin. How about you, Carlos?
Well, I'm a little bit different. I work as a machine learning engineer, so it's a quite different position than a data engineer. But obviously, as you can imagine, since I have a strong engineering background, I eventually work on data engineering projects, and I also get to work on some tasks. Uh, Usually, those data engineering projects that I work on involve data migration from traditional big data technologies into managed and scalable GCP solutions. And for that purpose, I really need to have some skills on cloud functions, on PubSub and Dataflow, Dataproc, and obviously BigQuery. Uh, so it's quite very fascinating and exciting to work with these technologies.
Thank you, and really excited to have this conversation with both of you. So first, if you could tell us about your exam preparation experience, Carlos.
Sure, absolutely. Well, if I reminded well, before taking any certification at that time, I had in mind that I need to feel confident about what I was basically doing with those solutions covered by the exam. Uh, at that point, I already was familiarized with the GCP ecosystem. But if look at your position, if you are not familiarized, I would suggest you to start with going on reading the official documentation and also have the chance to go through some of the tutorials so you get the feeling of how it works, right? Uh, Next, when you already can understand the basic of everything that you need to do, uh, I I would recommend, strongly recommend actually, going through the Coursera training, which is accompanied by the exam guide that also will help you a lot. Uh, and try to cover the topics that you feel that you still don't know, you're not very familiarized yet. Uh, just because it's on top of those topics that the questions will be posed to you during the exam. Uh, I would say also as a last tip, at least a week before the exam, I would focus a lot on sample questions, on practice questions that you can find online. Also in the preparation guide, you will find some of them. But that's your chance for you to get familiarized and starting to develop and train your brain uh, to get ready to answer all the questions in a timely fashion and also adopting good strategies.
Thank you. How about you, Marcin? How was your exam preparation experience?
So I started learning to the exam during the 6 weeks Kickstarter program, which was based on Coursera course, of course. And actually, after the 6 weeks and reviewing some example questions, I started reading about this exam, and I found a lot of information that it's one of the hardest exams. So I was a little bit nervous before. However, a lot of these articles also claim that it's possible to pass the exam. So I really confirm that it's possible, and it's not so hard as it looks like. What I can remember, this exam really checks your familiarity with GCP solutions and relies on your knowledge about various services and some hands-on experience. So After this course, after some hands-on experiences like quick labs, etc., it's really possible to get prepared very well. Um, yeah, so I really enjoyed this time of preparation because I really learned a lot about the GCP products, and I found a lot of information which I was not aware before.
Excellent, and congratulations again to you both for achieving this certification. So, how would you encourage someone new to the data engineering field to set a goal of achieving a certification? How about you, Marcin?
So I think the certification is a great benefit. It opens a lot of the door to your career. So first of all, after certification, you're pretty sure that you are familiar with GCP platform. So it makes me and also my colleagues who already passed this exam the confidence that they are that they can operate with these technologies, and they are experts in this matter. So I believe that it's a great way to make yourself familiar with the newest cutting edge technologies, one of the best choices for data processing, and it's very good way to accelerate your career.
Excellent. How about you, Carlos? How would you motivate, encourage someone new to the field?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what Marcin said. Uh, First of all, I have two killers arguments for that. So first, I would say we are working with the best technologies, open source based, Google, GCP, more specifically, those services and solutions that we find they are very based into open source technologies, and you can do several parallels, right? When you're working with Dataproc, you should be working with Hadoop and Spark. Also with Dataflow, you're working with Apache Beam behind the scenes. So you're definitely attaining skills that will make a difference in any role that you will be assuming, working with GCP or not. I think that's most important thing to know. Second, I would say that the exam is not, I would say that's not, because of that's not too very specific to the technology that you are studying, and also teach you kind of good processes, good practices, and it kind of covers all the dots in regards of parallel skills like security and authentication and reliability and DevOps practices. So I think it's a quite rich certification to take.
Thank you. So now we have everyone convinced and motivated. So, what are some of your top tips to pass the professional data engineer certification, Carlos?
Well, that's a good question. What I found in the exam is that it's not too hard as well, as Martin said. Uh, every time you are in doubt, just mark the questions and move forward. You don't need to waste your time on that. Uh, Actually, what you need is to train your brain to detect the attention words and sentences that you will find in every uh, uh, question and try to match uh, with the right answer for that. And trying to do that, there are no tricky questions. Sometimes you may find multiple answers or ambiguous answers, but if you come to this situation, what exactly the exam is looking for you to do is to choose what's the best of them, what's the most robust answer according to the proposed scenario. Uh, Last one, old but gold. Always choose GCP solutions over open source and proprietary technologies. For example, always opting PubSub in place of Kafka, for instance.
Thank you. And in just a moment, we will be reviewing some of the sample questions. So stay tuned to see this in action as our experts review some of the sample questions. How about you, Martin? Any other tips for successfully passing the exam on your side?
Sure. So first of all, in my opinion, the most important thing is to understand the example questions. So it's not enough to just know which answer is correct, but you need to be sure that this is correct and why it's correct. If you know why all the answers are correct or incorrect, it's much easier to pass the exam, because some of questions during the exam may be very similar to example questions, but formed a little bit different way. So it's the different side of the problem. So it means that if you know exactly why the answer is correct, this will drive you to find right answers in similar questions. The second thing, which is very important, is to be pretty sure that your first choice may be good, and if you change your mind, be really sure that the second option is correct. Also, a lot of questions have may have multiple correct answers, but the goal is to choose the best one. So you can achieve some goals in many different ways, but as data engineer, as professional data engineer, you should be able to choose the best one. And what is quite important, the less complicated. So if there are multiple good choices, but one is more complicated than another, just take the easiest way to achieve the goal.
Excellent. So I think this is a great segue into our next section with our experts here on the webinar. So review some of the sample questions. So we'll start with you, Carlos, if you could start reviewing this first sample question for the professional data engineer exam.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, well, let's have a look. I brought two questions for us to discuss and to show how we can train our brains to pay attention to the keywords, as I was mentioning before. So let's start by reading what the question is asking us. You are building storage for files for a data pipeline on Google Cloud. Up to this point, you have to understand that some questions you are doing kind of 100 questions and they are talking about different subjects, right? Eventually, you have those sentences that bring always a hook, and just because you answer something on machine learning, you don't expect the next question to be about machine learning. So that's why there is this first sentence, just to hook you, just to set the subject that we are talking about. Next, and then you don't need to worry about the very first sentence to find your answer. But knowing the context that we are working on now, and then it follows, you want to support JSON files. So that's one important information that you have to keep. Support JSON files. Next, it says the scheme of these files will occasionally change. That's also another important information to keep in mind. And lastly, that will drive you into a better solution is when it says that your analyst team will use running aggregate ANSI SQL queries on this data. Well, now we have fewer solutions that support ANSI SQL queries and occasionally changing the scheme of those files and also support JSON files, right? And then we can straightforward look into the answers. As we can see, if we pause for 5 or 10 seconds, we see that we have a repetitive start. We have use BigQuery, use BigQuery, use cloud storage, and use cloud storage. So by far, if you know that cloud storage is not aligned with the three requirements that we have identified, you can completely exclude the answer C and D, and that's what you have to do right now. And then you already know that's BigQuery because it really supports all those three features. Next, we see the complement. And the first answer, the letter A, says, provide format files for data load and update the format files as needed. If you can remember the BigQuery documentation and also how the product works, there is nothing related to that. But on contrary, you will find what is poised on the letter B, which is select automatically detect in the schema section. And that fully answers your question, validating the three requirements that was requested for you, right? Can we go to the second questions? Okay. Now we don't have a hook, but we already have a flush sentence that we can extract information from it. It says your company is migrating their 30-node Apache Hadoop cluster to the cloud. This is something very important to keep in mind. We're talking about Hadoop cluster, right? And there is a migration. Next, it says they want to reuse Hadoop jobs they have already created and minimize the management of the clusters as much as possible. Here I can see two very important information. First, there is a requirement to reuse pre-existing Hadoop jobs. So you don't have to propose anything different from Dataproc for that reason. And second, it says minimize the management of the cluster as much as possible. And that's exactly what Dataproc does, right? It minimizes the whole management effort just because it's a managed service offering. At the last sentence, it says they also want to be able to persist data beyond the life of the cluster. That's also a very important requirement for this question. We have to understand that it doesn't matter what happens with the cluster. If the cluster is deleted, those data should persist somewhere outside. That's the way it should be persisted, because we know that the cluster lifecycle goes into creating and also destroying the cluster. So let's go to the answers, to the possible answers. If you see the answers A and the answers C, we have data flow, which doesn't satisfy our second requirement, which is reuse Hadoop jobs. And C, we have a Hadoop clusters on compute engine. If you do a Hadoop cluster in compute engine, you are not minimizing management. And also, it doesn't satisfy the third requirement. We can have a look at the letters B and E. The letter B, it says create a Dataproc cluster that use persistent disks for HDFS. It is a possibility, but it looks like right. So we can just kind of put these possible questions on hold. You can mark it, and then we analyze the letters D and E. So let's go to the letter E. It says create a Hadoop cluster and compute engine. So again, it fails our third requirement, which is to minimize management. So it's not possible to be the right one, which leaves us with the letter D. Create a Dataproc cluster that uses the cloud storage connector. If we remind well, what's the migration best practice for Hadoop clusters and Hadoop jobs, we can remember well that we can use Cloud Storage Connector to persist data beyond the life cycle of the cluster. So actually, when he pulls the last requirement to persist the data beyond the life of the cluster, it's looking for you to connect this information with using a cloud storage connector. And that's how you can mark with confidence that the letter D is the answer and eliminate the letter B.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the review, Carlos. How about you, Martin? Could you take us through the question 3?
So 250,000 of events are quite a lot. So it may happen that all these events will flow in a single second. This make the BigQuery probably unable to store this data because the limit is 100,000 per second. So in this case, probably we should choose the Cloud Bigtable solution for this purpose. Also, another reason why the big table is a correct answer here is because for most cases the time series analysis is done with a cloud big table in GCP. There is also another part of this question. So we can choose between Cloud Bigtable CBT tool or age-based shell. Both are correct, and we can achieve our goals using both solutions. However, the CBT tool is native Google tool, and it's much easier to use the native tool than the third party. Okay, so you're building a data pipeline on Google Cloud. You need to select services that will host a deep neural network machine learning model, also hosted on Google Cloud. You also need to monitor and run jobs that could occasionally fail. What should you do? And this is also the type of question when we can exclude 50% of answers just by knowing the uh, half an answer. So if we know that we need to use AI platform, or if we know that we need to monitor for job failed states, we can be we can have a 50% chance for finding the right answer. But as I said before, this is very important to understand why the answer is correct. So, first of all, if we choose the technology, the AI platform prediction will be better solution here because it's native, it's delivered by Google, and it's a managed service. So you don't have to put so much effort as for Kubernetes engine. Of course, you can build your solution on Kubernetes. However, it's much more complicated and it's much harder to keep it alive later. And the second part of question ask you, should we monitor this status for errors in the operations, or should we monitor just the job state? There is no need to crawl all your logs for errors because we just need to know if the job fails. If job fails, there is already a metric which tells you that this job failed. Also, some errors might occur during the processing and not cause the failure of the whole job. So this is also not the best choice for searching for errors in the log files.
Thank you both so much for reviewing the sample questions today and for answering our interview questions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad I can be here.
Thanks, Magda. Thanks, everybody. I'm very excited and delightful for being here today, and I wish you a very good luck on your exam and good studies.
So now our final section, next steps on your certification journey. So are you ready to start your certification journey? Go to g.co/cloud/certify and select the Professional Data Engineer track. We will email you a 6-week recommended learning path and relevant training promotions and resources to help you get ready for certification. You can schedule to take your certification exam when a testing center near you is available, or you can take it online from the convenience of your own home. Also, a reminder about the book resource, as well as a special offer. Exclusive offer for 50% discount of the Associate Cloud Engineer, Professional Cloud Architect, and Professional Data Engineer study guides. So visit wiley.com and use the promo code GND50 to receive the discount, and this promotion is valid until the end of the year. With that, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please visit cloudonair.withgoogle.com for more hands-on learning, training, and demos from Google Cloud experts. And see you next time.